President Biden has signed a, quote, full and unconditional pardon for his son Hunter, and several international aid organizations have been forced to pause their work in Gaza, even as many Palestinians are starving there. Good morning. I'm Windsor Johnston with NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Biden has signed a sweeping pardon for his son, Hunter Biden, who had been convicted of federal tax and gun charges. The full and unconditional pardon is aimed at protecting the president's son from future prosecution from the incoming Trump administration. NPR's Mara Liasson reports Biden's decision may tarnish his reputation.
I think this will affect his legacy. And there are a lot of Democrats saying, how can Democrats accuse Trump of being above the law when he pardons, for instance, violent January 6 defendants? If, in fact, that's what he does, he said he wants to. They think that maybe Democrats have ceded the moral high ground. So this is very controversial inside the president's own party, but it was a very, very personal decision.
That's NPR's Mara Liasson reporting. President Biden will travel to Africa today, his first trip to the continent since taking office. NPR's Emmanuel Akinwatu reports from Lagos.
Biden's visit is only the second trip to Africa by a U.S. president in a decade and is likely the president's last foreign trip, 2 months before he leaves office. The trip concludes efforts by the Biden administration to improve its ties in Africa and to counter the growing influence of China and Russia. In Angola, Biden will visit a U.S.-financed rail project called the Lobito Corridor. The 1,300-kilometer freight rail line runs through mineral-rich Central African countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo and connects to Zambia and Tanzania. It's designed to ease the export of minerals like cobalt and copper that the US and other countries want access to. Emmanuel Akinwatu, NPR News, Lagos.
Several international aid organizations have been forced to pause services in Gaza. NPR's Kat Lonsdorf reports people there are desperate for food more than a year after the war broke out between Israel and Hamas.
The UN announced yesterday it's pausing aid deliveries into Gaza, saying armed gangs inside have made it too dangerous. World Central Kitchen has also suspended operations after several of its members were killed by an Israeli strike. Israel says one of them was Hamas. And the World Food Program has suspended delivery of food parcels, saying that there are no supplies. Meanwhile, Palestinians are starving. NPR's producer in Gaza, Anas Baba, visited the sole operating charity kitchen in Khan Yunis, where thousands clamored for a simple meal of beans.
They are just pushing each other. They just keep pushing forward and forward and forward. We saw a child that he's fainted from all of the squeezing.
He says the food ran out, and many, including children, left without. Kat Lonsdorf, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
This is NPR News in Washington.